It's Saturday night. That means it's time for the Don Tony Show.
The wait all week long is finally over. Get Don Tony's perspective on current affairs in the world of pro wrestling and much more. The Don Tony Show.
And now your host, the man, the legend, Don Tony.
All right. Miro Christmas. Ho, 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 ho. Ho, ho. I can't believe that did they ever like make a play on that in AEW? You get an opponent for Riho that calls her, a Riho ho ho. Do we get Riho clause in AEW? What's going on, everybody? You see the thumbnail for Miro clause. Instead of Merry Christmas, Miro Christmas. I actually used that last year, but I had to use it again this year. I just so happened, just for the fuck of it, decided, let me go pull the stats about Miro in AEW over the last 3+ years. And, the funny thing is, people, how many times can you cry wolf when it comes to pushing someone? We think a couple of years ago with Hobbs, we think it with Ricky Starks. Just because Ricky Starks has a tag team championship, that 95 other people have belts as well. The fact that Miro can't get a belt in his day and age in AEW is telling. But you see, somebody gets a little push, and then the internet buzzes. Oh, he's finally going to get the opportunity. And then we always say, let's see what happens a month from now, 3 months from now. I think back to even Ricky Starks feuding with MJF back then, where for a split second, it felt like Ricky Starks, promo-wise, was on the same level. And we said, let's see what happens 3 months from now with Hobbs, with Miro. And it happens. Smoke and mirrors. By now, after 4 years, especially when what is being displayed is what fancies Tony Khan, what fancies the friends backstage, what fancies, the people who matter, not what is best for business, not what generates the most ratings. Hey, we think this is awesome. We think this is tremendous. You should like it too. If you're a wrestling fan, you have to like it too. The Continental Classic, pretty interesting to see how low the ratings keep coming. And when we do the weekend ratings a little bit later, we're going to give you a fact that we brought up last week that no one brings up, and we're going to bring it up again this week, and it's very, very startling. And this is not a rag on AEW. I'm an AEW fan, but when you have so many tournaments and so many belts and so many, instead of just giving us, a little bit, everybody's different. Some people love 5-star matches. Me, I love psychology. Just because the devil is shoved down our throats for 3.5 months doesn't mean I have to like it. Just because some mother of some kid whose father is dead because Edge spears the kid and the mother attacks Edge, and because it makes sense, that means we're supposed to like it. There's been a lot to complain about with AEW lately, but I look at Miro and I can't help but to look at Miro even from 5 years ago to now. Smartest man in wrestling. Let's be honest, guys, making, millions in AEW and working as little as he does. Let me give you a little bit of startling notes about Miro. From the year, now listen, it is true that in, I believe, 2019, Miro had an injury in the WWE. So in 2019, he only wrestled 22 matches in WWE. In 2018, he wrestled 51. In 2017, he wrestled 67. Now, you may say to yourself, all right, that's a lot of matches. But when you start looking at the overall scope of his career, now you start, if you're WWE in 2019, now you start saying to yourself, is this guy worth the money we're paying him, because in 2017, he wrestled 67 matches. In 2018, he wrestled 51. In 2019, he wrestled 22. All right. Now, you may say to me, that's still not bad. Well, from 2014 to 2016, Miro, as Rusev, wrestled an average of 150 times a year for the WWE. 150. So when you ink him to a deal in 2017 and he goes from 150 down to 67, down to 51, down to 22, you say, okay, now I can understand a little bit why maybe WWE let this man go. So what does he do? He reinvents himself. The Redeemer. And, you know, he started out with video games. All right, whatever. All right, here's some facts about Miro and AEW. Number one, the last time he wrestled on AEW Dynamite was June 15th of last year. He has not had a match on Dynamite in a year and a half. In 2021, Miro wrestled 20 matches for AEW. All right. Yeah, he didn't have to do dark. He didn't have to do elevation. He didn't have to, pad his stats with 50 wins because he beat some dumb fuck from Japan and hang low and whoever else you want to bring up, Joe Schmo. So, okay, 20 matches in 2021. In 2022, Miro, yes, there were some injuries. Miro had a total of 4 matches in 2022. Now 2023. I'm good. I'm healed. I'm ready. Collision. Ready to return. In 2023, Miro has wrestled a total of 6 matches. Would you like to know who Miro has beaten in 2023? Daniel Garcia, Action Andretti, Powerhouse Hobbs, Nick Caberato, Anthony Henry, and Tony Nese. Does that sound like a guy going for gold? Does that sound like a guy getting any type of a push? His contract is rumored to be going until 2026. I know we make some wild predictions, and sometimes we make predictions that we know absolutely are not going to happen, but we try to think outside the box and like, DT, come up with a wild prediction that isn't going to happen, but you'd love to see happen in 2024. Miro getting out of his contract early, going back to WWE. The thing is, he's getting paid so much money. Honestly, if you were Miro right now, each and every one of you, honestly, if you were Miro, at his age, would you go back to the WWE because you want to work more? Or do you sit at home, collect those paychecks? Whatever they want to use me, they use me. That's something you really got to think about. That's why I think Miro is, the smartest man in wrestling. How fucking ridiculous. In 3+ years in AEW, 3 years and 4 months, he wrestled 30 matches. And if I started giving you all of the opponents, there's a Bryan Danielson match in there. You got a match here and there, but for the most part, it is bullshit. It is bullshit. So we wanted to show a little bit of love for Miro this year, since AEW is once again doing the smoke and mirrors. And look, he's probably not complaining, making that kind of money. Mone, hey, let's segue into more Mone. Mercedes Mone. Listen, this is not news. It's not breaking, unbelievable, spectacular news. You're a baseball player and you're having a hard time finding a team. You're a pitcher. You have a hard time finding a team. You're a closer. You have a hard time finding a team. And then a closer of a big team or even a scrubby team gets Tommy John surgery. Your fucking value goes up. Mercedes Mone was already commanding big money. That's why even before she was injured, she wrestled almost nothing. People are like, oh, she's the comeback person of the year. She wrestled 2 fucking matches. I'm not dogging Mercedes, but Charlotte Flair goes down with an injury. Does anybody in their right mind think that Mercedes Moné, you think she's calling up dirt sheets or friends of hers and saying, you could tell the dirt sheets, ha ha ha, however she laughs? You think she says, oh, Charlotte got injured. Now I want more than Charlotte Flair money. This is Macho Man Randy Savage, 2002, when we all thought that he might go back to the WWE, but he was asking for an insanely large amount. And Vince is like, I'm not paying that. And Macho Man never came back. Then he came out with Be a Man, Hulk. You know, Mercedes Moné commanding big money. That's common sense. This is someone who knows their worth, who knows Charlotte Flair will be on the shelf for a good part of 2024. So, hey, you want me back? Pay me even more money, bitch. This is a business. This is TKO Group Holdings, WWE, Endeavor. This is a business. So the reports going around that Mercedes Moné wants even more money than Charlotte Flair. Duh. And guess what? Mercedes Moné will return to the WWE because a lot of people out there that were feeding you that there were close negotiations with AEW, there were never close negotiations. Let me give people a little insight because I do have friends in wrestling. Wrestlers will go along with some buzz and rumors and promoters. They're not going to throw a prospective employer under the bus and say, Tony and I never really had any big conversations. You know, we were never really close. You don't do that. You don't throw it out there where you kind of throw shade, even indirectly. There was never close negotiations because she got injured and they didn't know how long she was going to return. And then Vince pretty much got out of the picture. And then the merger happened. And then Triple H was given a lot more authority. Triple H is not on the board of directors, guys. You know, but Triple H has a lot more power directly affecting the wrestlers. The board of directors doesn't necessarily directly affect the wrestlers. If you're a wrestler in WWE, would you rather have Triple H on a board with 4 other WWE board of directors and 6 endeavors and making corporate decisions? Or do you want Triple H directly involved with the wrestlers, developing, giving opportunity? So if somebody does succeed and somebody does make money and somebody is happy, then that helps everybody. The vibe in WWE right now is very, very positive. If you remember when the merger was going down, all of these clickbaiters were telling you that there was so much unrest, there was so much uneasiness. Wasn't it a month ago that a lot of dirt sheet writers were telling you that, oh, TKO Group Holdings, they're not going to even look at contracts until, next year. And, this is that. And they were giving you the idea that Drew McIntyre, they still haven't made discussions and there's a whole bunch of people that are rumored to be free agents and that. And then you hear Bayley signed a new deal. Rey Mysterio signed a new deal. Charlotte Flair signed a new deal. Dominic Mysterio signed a new deal. They don't know what the fuck is going on. Because remember, this is not Vince McMahon's WWE anymore. This is TKO Group Holdings. And something tells me that Ari Emanuel does not rub elbows with schmuckwrestling.com. So people are fetching, guessing. And they saw the writing on the wall with Mercedes Moné. And they said, there's no way she's going to go back, to WWE. That's a year ago. Now, a year later, we'd be morons if we didn't start pushing that narrative. We'd be idiots if we start pushing that narrative. They got it so wrong with CM Punk. You had a 50-50 chance of getting it right. CM Punk will return. CM Punk won't return. WWE won't take him back. Anything is possible in the WWE. It's a 50-50 chance. So, you bet on black and you hope that it rolls on black. None of us know about Mercedes Moné's situation. But her commanding that much money, yeah, of course. Her value is definitely there. Now, let's segue to MJF. Now, MJF doing a lot of interviews. Did a nice one with Jason Solomonster. If you want to go check it out on YouTube, they had this event celebrating Jewish heritage, Jewish people. Beautiful, ceremony. I mean, I didn't recap it. I mean, it's just I didn't. But they did a nice interview. But, one thing I will say that's kind of comedic is I see all of the reports online and MJF doing interviews with various people. And MJF is telling people he has yet to sign a contract with AEW. Does anybody honestly, truthfully believe that MJF is going to tell anybody, whether they grease his palm, whether they work in a wrestling promotion, whether they're the same heritage? You think MJF, with this devil storyline and everything that's going on, is going to reveal his contract status in an interview? He ain't fucking saying a damn thing right now. So when people are reporting that MJF is yet to sign a deal, are you fucking dense? Are you that dumb? MJF is not going to tell anyone. And you look at this storyline, and I wrote this late on a synopsis for today's show. As you see, I'm looking right at you. I have no notes. I have very little notes today because I'm just talking from here. Plus, it helps when you're drinking Tecton ketones. I don't get paid from them. I just, I'm addicted to this stuff right now. If anybody likes like ketone esters and stuff, Tecton, good shit. Definitely good. Better than coffee, I might add. I wrote this late on a synopsis because it had me thinking today. This devil storyline has been going on for over 3 months. We're going into 4 months now. He attacked Jay White in September. Now, we all have our speculations who the devil will be. We kind of had some fun and we thought, maybe it's Swerve Strickland. Maybe it's Britt Baker. Maybe it's Adam Cole. Maybe it's Jack Perry. Maybe it's one of the WWE releases from September that are no longer under the 90-day no-compete. Could absolutely be any of it. Could be Tony Khan. For me, Tony Khan would be my pick. I think asshole Tony Khan. How could it get any worse, guys? AEW's ratings are their core audience. And that core audience defends Tony Khan to the max. If there's any buzz or controversy, yes, I thought Dixie Carter sucked as an on-air character. But I just say, for the hardcore AEW, if that motherfucker revealed himself to be, it was me, Austin. It was me all along. I'd fucking pop. I would watch. I don't care how much of a train wreck it is. It would be like Mike Adamle with an afro. That's what it would come out to be. It would be Mike Adamle with an afro. Just no stuttering. But the thing is, this devil storyline killed a bigger storyline that would have been a major buzz. The war of 2024. The bidding war of 2024. This devil storyline killed the bidding war of 2024. Because now when this devil is revealed, and it's a group of people that all have it out for MJF, hopefully we don't get that like Raw match of John Cena and Randy Orton versus the entire Raw roster or the WWE roster. And we're going to get a whole clan of MJF haters that are going to try to force MJF out of AEW. And then MJF will be forced to stay because he has to defend AEW, unless they do a swerve and MJF is the devil all along, and then what do you do? But the thing is, because of this devil storyline, I know it's not a big deal, but, when the rumors of Razor and Diesel leaving the WWF back in the day, we didn't have the dirt sheets and the internet like we do now. We had hotlines and we had a little bit of internet, but not what it was now. But, Meltzer at the time was covering stuff. But the idea, please don't go. Please don't go. please don't go. Shane Douglas in ECW showing up with a Monday Night Raw shirt and then end up leaving. Mick Foley trying to do early of Mankind, getting ready to leave with the WWF and F shirts. When a wrestler, you play up to it that a wrestler could leave and the fans believe it, that creates more buzz than anything else, because when you do end up staying and you do not leave like Hall and Nash did, and you do not leave like Cactus Jack or Shane Douglas or anybody else does, and you end up staying, for AEW fans, wow, he chose AEW. They used that template with Jay White. They used that template with Will Ospreay. They used that template with whoever you want to put in that sentence. You saw that template that we exposed about a year and a half ago. Wrestler becomes free agent. WWE needs them. WWE has to have them. WWE wants them. WWE is close to signing them. And then they chose AEW. Meanwhile, no one goes on record and says, yeah, I was close to signing with WWE. Yeah, we had talks. Yeah, we met a few times. Some wrestlers in WWE would love to have Okada, would love to have Will Ospreay. You don't think AJ Styles, Finn Balor, and a whole bunch of others wouldn't love to have that motherfucker on the roster? So when you hear people within WWE are really pushing Will Ospreay to sign, no fucking shit. If I'm a wrestler and there's a great fucking wrestler out there that I know I can make magic and make money with, why wouldn't I want them in that company? The reason why you didn't hear that about CM Punk was because there was so much bitterness amongst AEW fans, the elite media. There was so much uncertainty, and CM Punk kind of dug his own grave 10 years ago. Not completely. It wasn't all his fault, but he didn't handle it as professionally as he should have. So there was always that aura that, hey, could the CM Punk asshole, unprofessional, person in AEW, is that the one that we would get in the WWE? And that's why, we talked so early on that, if you're disciplined and he knows he ain't getting away with that shit, CM Punk doesn't walk around the street. He's not mentally challenged. He doesn't have issues where he just walks around the street and just looks up to someone and says, hey, man, what time is it? And punches him in the face for no reason. I think Jack Perry deserved to get punched in the mouth. Maybe it shouldn't have been CM Punk, but maybe Jack Perry could have pissed off Anthony Henry or somebody that we don't give a shit about. It's always like karma. Sometimes someone deserves to get it, but the wrong person gives it. That's why I always told that story. One time I was driving in my neck of the woods on Metropolitan Avenue. There was a girl behind me, tailgating me, beeping the horn, trying to get around me. And I was driving the speed limit, beeping on. So I decided to be an asshole. I slowed down. And she's flashing the lights, and it's Metropolitan Avenue, Forest Hills. There's only one lane going this way, one lane going that way. She tries to go around me a few times, but there's cars coming the other way. Now, I could have been an asshole, stop short, just be a total dick. But I just drove slow, and she's trying to get around me. So finally, she drives around me, and as she goes by, she's like, fuck you! And she speeds down Metropolitan Avenue. Then all of a sudden, I see big plume of smoke. I drive up like 2-3 blocks, and what happened was somebody was pulling out of a parking lot of a drugstore. At the same time, she shot down Metropolitan Avenue, and she got into a massive car accident with a car. I looked at her, and I rolled down my windows, and I swear my mother, she should die now if I'm lying. I said, are you okay? She's like nodding her head like, yeah. And then you could see that she was really injured. I'm like, good, fuck you. And I drove away. Karma. But somebody else fucking caused her pain. I just sat back and I watched it. I have a customer in my neighborhood when Hurricane Sandy happened. And when Hurricane Sandy happened and everybody needed to get electrical work and plumbing work and contracting work, a contractor in my neighborhood tripled his price. And one customer, he tripled the price while he was doing the job. And the customer was an old lady, couldn't afford to pay him. And the customer's son was one of my customers. And he's like, I want to put a bullet through this guy. I want to fucking kill him, what he's doing to my mother. And he tried to put a lien against this woman's house. So anyway, they ended up settling everything. And I told my customer, I'm like, look, he's not worth it. Don't go to jail. You're going to put your mother through all this misery. Somebody, if he's fucking you over, he's fucking someone else over. Sure enough, About 6-8 months later, we hear the contract is in the hospital in critical condition. The story going around was that he was on a telephone pole and he fell and he hit his head against the floor and they rushed him to the hospital. They found him unconscious on the floor. But the funny thing is, everybody in the neighborhood is like, why was he on a telephone pole? He's not Con Edison. He's not the telephone company. The story to this day is that he fucked the wrong person over and somebody hit him in the head with a baseball bat and left him laying on the floor. And because, you don't do shit like that in that neighborhood, he never opened his mouth and said that, who it was or anything like that. So some people deserve it. You just don't want to be the person to give it. Let someone else do it. So MJF, that whole buzz, is he staying? Is he going? Dirt sheets are cursing AEW and MJF right now. They wouldn't do it publicly. They're cursing because every week WWE, is seriously interested in MJF. WWE really wants MJF. WWE is prepared to offer MJF a lucrative contract. MJF. They can't do that. They can't do that because the devil storyline fucked it all up. There is no buzz of MJF teasing if he's leaving. He's a baby face. He's a baby face right now in AEW. How could you be a baby face and tease that I'm going to leave to go to the public enemy number one? So this devil storyline fucked MJF. Fucked that whole bidding war in 2024. In a couple of years, when Roman Reigns starts to decline and is not in that picture like he is now, when some people get injured, maybe get released, and an opportunity opens up for MJF will be in the WWE. Kevin and I had this conversation 6-7 weeks ago that 2024 is not the right time for MJF in the WWE because you're not going to stop everything and give him a push and fuck TV time against others who have earned it right now. That's why the 2 days after CM Punk debuted in Survivor Series, Kevin and I said on the show, do not expect CM Punk to be the focal point of WWE for the foreseeable future until you start getting the Royal Rumble, until you start getting to the road to WrestleMania, because CM Punk has to fall in line with everything that is going on right now. You're not going to throw things up in disarray because, oh my God, we landed CM Punk. Oh, we got to now shift everything around. No, that was never the case, but people tried to make you believe that was the case. That's why now you see articles, part-time CM Punk, part-time CM Punk. If they had half a brain and thought about the WWE machine and how they were not going to turn certain aspects of it off to complement CM Punk, they would have realized CM Punk was going to be a cog in a wheel, was not going to be the wheel itself. He's not the rim. He's a cog in the wheel. So, speaking of Kevin and I please do not read anything more into this, but I know we're getting close to January 1st and 2024. Next week, don't know, it might be Tuesday, it might be Wednesday of next week. I will be posting an announcement online with regards to the future of some of my shows and what Kevin and I will be doing in 2024. It is next year, the 20th anniversary of Kevin and I starting to do content together, and we will have a commemorative shirt coming out for anybody that says they'll buy it but don't, and for those that actually will. But next week, we're going to make an announcement as far as what the future of the Monday shows are and how Kevin and I are going to proceed in 2024. We've been doing special episodes for the last 8+ months, and they've been very well received. And yes, we know there's a lot of you that want a little bit more. The thing is that schedule-wise, it is very, very difficult. My schedule is a lot different than what it was 3-4 years ago. Same thing with him. But he and I are discussing a couple of ideas. Don't try to guess what they are. But next week, I will be making an announcement about my shows, about, stuff with him in the future. And everything should kick in as of January 1st. Any changes that I do, because one show is going away for a little while. Another show is going to be condensed in another. But the idea is to make things a little bit more compact. That's why if you look at the synopsis for today's show, we're going to talk a little bit about SmackDown. But SmackDown's going to be 10 minutes of the show. We're not doing a full-blown TV recap. There's a lot of news and stuff to get into, and especially since this Monday is a best of for Raw. And I want to thank everybody. When we were live on Monday, I asked to the chat, is next Monday being taped or is it a best of? And majority of people was like, no, it's being taped. Soon as I finished the show, people would tell me, no, it's a best of, it's a best of, it's a best of. It is a best of. So, and we're going to do a show on Monday, but we're also going to mix it up a little bit. NXT has their year-end awards, so we'll go on their site live and we'll see what their nominees are. We'll have some fun with that. We'll talk a little bit. It'll probably be more of like a sit-down episode Monday, since I'm not doing one tomorrow. So Monday will just be casual. It'll be Christmas night. It's not going to be a huge audience. And New Year's Eve, it looks like that I will be doing a sit-down special for New Year's Eve. So the plan is tomorrow is the only day that I will not be doing shows on normal schedule. I will be spending Christmas Eve with my wife's family and Christmas Day with my own family. And then Christmas night, I'll be back to annoy you all. By the way, speaking of Christmas, I don't know if you all saw this, but you'll get a kick out of it. The WWE women's roster on Raw posted this ugly sweater photo. And listen, I know kayfabe is dead, but you always want to still have the feeling that people don't like each other and they don't get along with each other. When you see, Maxine Dupri sitting 2 seats away from Rhea Ripley, and Ivy Nile, who's going to get her ass kicked on January 1st against Rhea Ripley. And then you see Chelsea Green, and right behind her are the new women's tag team champions, because this picture was taken afterwards. You say, come on. But Becky Lynch is not in his photo. And no, it's not because Nia Jax is in the photo, but it's because Becky Lynch was actually, when they took this picture that weekend, Becky Lynch was not at that show. Or she left the building a little bit earlier. So I don't want anybody to get any controversial. Raquel Rodriguez is not there either. She was not at the show, period. But I thought it was a cute picture that you all may see. You want to see cute? I hope some of you right now are having some gabagool. You want to have some sausage? I hope somebody's biting into a nice juicy hamburger or a nice sausage and peppers, because we got a little bit of an update from CJ Perry, Lana. Remember, and this is how freaky it is. 2 weeks ago, last week we talked about CJ Perry being in the hospital. A fucking paper cut, a little splinter. Any of you out there, like you put your hand on the wall, you're like, ooh, what was that? And you got a little splinter in your finger. Sometimes you go with your teeth and you just pull it out and you spit it out. And you're like, all right, let's move on. Who am I managing this week? Well, you're always supposed to wash your hands. You're always supposed to use peroxide. And I guess for CJ Perry, she got a little splinter. Let me just pull it out with my fingernails and throw it on the floor and move on. Well, it turned into an infection, and it was a very serious infection. If you remember last week, we posted the picture of her finger. That's not karma for giving other people a middle finger. Her middle finger got severely infected, and she had to go to the hospital. And this infection was serious. I'm not trying to downplay Kenny Omega with his diverticulitis. I had diverticulitis. I had the surgery. I had my intestine cut, taken a piece out and sewed back together. I know what diverticulitis is. And Dave Meltzer, with all due respect, he writes this stuff on his newsletter this week that if Kenny Omega didn't go to the hospital soon enough, it would have turned into a blood infection. And if it turned into a blood infection, he would have had a 50-50 chance of surviving. That's like me saying if I walk in the middle of the street and I don't look both ways, I have a 50-50 chance of getting hit, which would give me a 75% chance of not surviving if I didn't catch it in time. If I have the flu, if I don't go to the hospital and get treated, then it would lead to the fact is he didn't have a 50-50 chance of death. He didn't have an infection. Oh my God, what happened? I got laid. I got some weird goo on my nuts. Oh, I'll just, wipe it off in the shower. And it turns into a massive infection. If I didn't go to the hospital in time and get a big needle in my testicles, it could have led to fertility. A 50-50 chance of fertility. This woman had a legitimate chance of having a serious fucking infection out of this besides a finger. But if you remember, we said, what do they do with those infections? They cut your finger open. They dig all the infection out. Then they fucking stick a giant needle in your finger with antibiotics. And then you basically have a mangled finger. For those that don't like to see graphic stuff, close your eyes, because I'm going to show everyone the graphic photo that CJ Perry posted after the surgery was over. If you remember last week when I described what was going to happen to her, then you already have an idea of what happened. So this was before the surgery. Warning, here's your last chance. If you close your eyes, I will tell you when you can open your eyes. All right, this is what it looked like before the surgery, and that's what it looked like after the surgery.
Get that finger out of your ear. You don't know where that finger's been.
Yeah, I don't think that finger is going to be going in their ear anytime soon. Yeah, that's what it looked like. So, all right, everybody. For those that were a little bit nervous that you turned the camera off for a little bit, you could open your eyes now. And asshole Don Tony says, fooled you. Spacebug, the Doc helmet, fooled you. So, yeah, she had that. But she's good now. She's good now. So now it's wrapped up, but she's like, no, don't wrap it up yet. I need to take a picture. Best wishes go out. I say this seriously. That is not fun. If you're going to get infected, if you're going to get that much mangled out of your finger, you want to get your money's worth. You want to go up to Donald Trump, go, fuck you. And then secret security grabs that finger and somehow it gets mangled and cut. And every time you look at it, hey, I know how this happened. For Lana, she's like, I was just leaning against the post behind the scenes in AEW and I got a splinter. And I just pulled it out. And look what happened. Almost got my finger cut off. I wish her well. I really do. So now since we got the ugly sweaters and the ugly fingers out of the way, let's talk about that ugly crowd yesterday on SmackDown. I know that they were there for the episode we watched the week earlier. That crowd was fucking dead yesterday. That crowd overall was dead. Roman Reigns came out and attacked AJ Styles, and that crowd, you know what it sounded like? I swear to God, go back and watch SmackDown again, and you will agree with me. I felt like I was watching Thunderdome. And I enjoyed Thunderdome. That white noise that we heard all night. It honestly, I don't know if I'll just write it off that they were tired. That's the only thing I could say. They were tired. That crowd was awful yesterday. Look, they popped early on. AJ Styles came out, Randy Orton, LA Knight. They popped with LA Knight, of course, but the matches, oh my God, this crowd was so goddamn dead. Look at the women's match to open up the show. That crowd was beyond dead. It sounded like white noise. SmackDown was retaped from the week before, so we already knew pretty much most of the spoilers. There was a couple of things that we didn't talk about because we wanted people to see it beforehand. One thing right off the bat that is not the result of a match, we had this conversation last week, and really not much of what I said last week has changed since then, but we got a little bit more from the Karrion Kross promo with him and Scarlett and teasing, what is to come. I did like how they cherry-picked some of the people that he feuded with, even in defeat, because some of the people that he feuded with, he lost those wars. But the wrestlers came out of it with different attitudes. And he brings up Drew McIntyre. Look how he is now. Rey Mysterio actually attacked his son after, what he and I did. So basically, Karrion Kross is having this influence on people. Yes, they didn't bring up everyone because Sheamus is still the same. And by the way, Sheamus will be back in 2 weeks. Sheamus will be Butch's mystery partner. The take on Pretty Deadly. So Sheamus will be back in 2 weeks. Little news if you want it. But yesterday, Karrion Kross looking for a few authors, to continue his proclamation. That's the word I was looking for. And we saw a still shot of this. Paul Ellering and the Authors of Pain, the AOP. We had this conversation last Saturday. I am fine with this if it makes sense. If Karrion Kross is getting some hired guns, I am absolutely for this, because if you remember conversation we had a couple of weeks ago, one thing you look back on 2023, it's the year of the faction. It is pretty much the year of the faction. Both companies, it's pretty much like the year of the faction. You don't see many people getting over singular anymore without having somebody by their side. LA Knight is one of the few examples, where he's pretty much been a loner. But for the most part, a lot of people have had other individuals by their side. You look at even, the LWO, for example. Yesterday, we finally got what some of us have been asking for a while. Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza, they are now aligned with Santos Escobar. And this is something that we have been wanting for a while. They came out and they attacked the Street Profits. They were wearing masks and people did not know who they were. They were obviously not fans. But the problem is, when everything is said and done, this picture says more than you could possibly imagine. Bobby Lashley's like, what the fuck is going on with us creatively? Montez Ford, he's got this look. It's almost like he's screaming out to Triple H. He's like, hey, I thought we were getting pushed. And Angelo Dawkins is just saying, he's just looking at himself like, my breath smell? He's breathing into his hand right now. That's really what we got. I mean, by the way, BFAB is suddenly be missing. So hopefully whatever idea they have for BFAB, maybe they get that out of there. I just don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to work. Then again, if she don't rap anymore, that'll be fine with me. What did she used to say? Rowdy, rowdy, howdy, howdy, pouty, pouty, dowdy, dowdy, whatever. I don't know. Oh, they were fucking awful. Awful. Top dollar and all. Oh, they're all free agents again. All these free agents. Anybody remember this thumbnail I made back in September? They're all free agents. And as expected, Rick Boogs is playing with his guitar. We haven't heard much about Boogs. Elias, I don't know what's going to go on. Shelton Benjamin is taking his time. Dolph Ziggler may be a surprise on a competitor's promotion in the very near future, so that's keeping a little secret. Mustafa Ali is getting booked everywhere. Dabba-Kato is, he's Dabba-Kato. Shanky is dancing for quarters on a quarter somewhere. Top Dollar, I think he attacked Joey Janela early this week. Top Dollar, I give credit because he's one of the first that really, he's got a chip on his shoulder that he wants to show people that he can actually do this a little bit. I think that's the best message. I think, one thing I will say that I'm kind of surprised. Has anybody noticed something about Mustafa Ali? Can anybody in the chat room, when you saw his announcement earlier this week and some of the bookings that he got, was there anything that kind of surprised you about it? Let's see if anybody in the chat room is thinking like I'm thinking. But Mason Mansour, Mason Mansour, they got some good bookings. I think Emma and her fiance, what the fuck's his name? The laugh. What was his name? Oh God, I feel bad now because I actually liked him. He was laughing. Somebody in the chat room bailed me out. Riddick Moss, no, Madcap Moss. That's what it was. Dana Brooke, she's getting dolled up. I'll be nice this week. She's getting prettied up. Matt Riddle's getting some decent bookings. He's going to work GCW. He's going to work a couple of select events. He got MLW. He's actually going to be doing a little bit in MLW. But, nobody realized? Nobody realized with Mustafa Ali. I'll tell you. He's still going as Mustafa Ali. Anybody notice that? He still has the name Mustafa Ali on his profile. Other places are advertising him as Mustafa Ali. And I'm wondering, well, I think if he shows up in AEW, I don't think Mustafa Ali trademarked his own name. I think he will have to either come up with a different name. And hopefully he'll have two names. Remember when WWE that time decided to get rid of his first name and they were just announcing his last name? And then the way they were announcing his last name, he sounded like he still had two names. Like if you weren't a wrestling fan, you would have thought he was Japanese because Mustafa Ali, they started announcing him as Ali. But how they would do it, they would say, weighing in at 133 pounds, Ali. So you thought, who's this Japanese wrestler? So he's getting bookings. The person that's the most active out of this, and Aaliyah, we cannot forget Aaliyah. Aaliyah, I think, will do just fine as well. I'm very, very happy for Mustafa Ali. Dolph Ziggler should not have been let go, but I think he's got other. Listen, I'm going to make a prediction. I've said it before. I know it's unpopular, but it's going to happen. Anybody watch Tyrus when he's on Fox News? Who's that other guy? I went to one of his shows in Manhattan right before COVID. Oh, God. Greg Gutfeld. I guarantee you will start seeing Dolph Ziggler on Greg Gutfeld's show. I guarantee you in the near future, you will see him on Greg Gutfeld. But seems like, they're in some demand. Now you got to start thinking to yourself, could any of them possibly be revealed as the devil? Would it be a letdown? Out of that entire group of people, who is there anybody there that you'd be like, oh, shit? I mean, if Dana Brooke, she's always been the devil, so to speak. But no, seriously, if any of them were revealed as the devil, would it really be a big deal? I don't know. I really don't know. That's why I honestly think, it's going to be one of the names that we've been talking about. So, all right. Before we run down SmackDown, I definitely want to throw this out there because it's something that nobody's reported. I take credit for it. We have been the most fair and detailed about what happened with Liv Morgan in Florida. We're not going to turn it into this gigantic case because it's not, but I wanted to give everybody a little bit of an update, and it's actually good news for Liv Morgan. Now, the difference, with all due respect to other people out there and us, is that we actually know what we're talking about. Other people out there, when they see POSS, they think it's possibly. She was arrested for possibly having synthetic cannabinoids. She was charged with a class 3 felony for possibly having cannabinoids. I possibly may have a gun in my pants. Or am I just happy to see you? Well, I got actually a cool update for you with regards to Liv Morgan that I think people could rest easy a little bit as far as what could happen. Even if she's found guilty of that class 3 felony, even if she pleads guilty to that class 3, I think it's going to get chopped down. I think it's going to get dropped. I truthfully believe that charge will get dropped. But even if she pled guilty or was found guilty, some people are like, 5 years in jail. She's not facing any jail. And I'm going to tell you why. This is not just me guessing. This is facts. She is going to be arraigned on February 12th, where she will enter a plea. Hopefully, by that time, this is negotiated. But as of now, February 12th is the day that she has to enter a plea for these 2 charges. Now, The reason why she is not going to be facing any jail time, regardless of what happens, is because this case has been rated as a D22. What is a D22, you may ask? Have you seen anybody talk about this? Okay. In Florida, they have a scorecard. The scorecard determines if someone could face jail time or could likely face jail time. And based on what you are charged for, it determines a point scale. And the higher the points, the bigger trouble you are in. So, in Florida, with this punishment score sheet, they have levels. And I'll be quick with this. I don't want anybody to be bored with it, but I want to explain it so you understand, so you don't even know. You could Google it if you want as well. But they have levels. Level 1 is up to 4 points. Level 2 is up to 10 points. Level 3 is up to 16 points. Level 4 is 22 points. Some people will say it's under 22. Some other places will say 22 and under. And it goes all the way up to level 10 with 116 points. If you have a level 10 on your record, you're a drug dealer. You're a pusher. You're pushing like tons of this shit. So she is under the classification of a level 4. Now, what is a level 4? 22 points and under. This is the explanation of what she could face as far as jail time goes. If the defendant scores 22 points or less, and the offense is a third-degree felony, that's what she's facing, okay? The judge can only sentence the defendant to prison time if the judge determines that a non-prison sentence would present a danger to the community. Let me give you simple English. The only way Liv Morgan could face jail time is if the judge determines that letting her out on the street would be a danger to the community. Think Tammy Sitch. Once they did, remember she was released on bail? And then the judge, I got to look up her score system. I'm not saying it to be comical or funny. I'm curious. I got to look up her score system. It'd be kind of ironic if her score is 69, but her score system, Liv Morgan, the only way the judge could impose jail time or possibly jail time is if the judge feels if she lets Liv Morgan out, that she's a danger to the community. And just because she's beautiful, and just because she's cute, just because we all like her, doesn't mean, that makes her any less of a danger. She's not a danger to the community. She was not arrested for reckless driving. She was not arrested for DUI. She was arrested for having shit in the car. So this is why Liv Morgan, I think people could rest easy that even if she were to plead guilty to this stuff, she ain't facing 5 years in jail, everybody. So figured I'd share it because I know no one else is talking about it. And if you do share with others, you could say, hey, I heard it on the Don Tony show. All right. Let me get into some SmackDown because we did get a diversion yesterday. Did you catch the diversion? It has effects. Let me put it this way. It has to do with Raw. Did anybody catch the cute little diversion that Triple H and the WWE is doing right now with one or more individuals? We picked up on it right away, and I think you'll pick it up on it too. All right. Earlier, we talked about SmackDown, AJ Styles opening up the show. I don't have notes. I'm just doing this verbatim, but AJ Styles comes out there and he says that Randy Orton wants Roman Reigns. LA Knight wants Roman Reigns. He doesn't give a damn about either one of those guys. He gets the first shot because of what happened to him earlier this year. AJ Styles also reminds everyone what we figured happened last week. And he says the reason why he attacked LA Knight is because LA Knight walked over AJ Styles' carcass and couldn't wait to team up with John Cena at Fastlane and then go on to face Roman Reigns. That's why AJ Styles has a problem with LA Knight. So it all makes sense now. But ultimately, Randy Orton comes out. Ultimately, LA Knight comes out. We get a little bit of a confrontation. Randy Orton brings up how he was on the shelf for 18 months. Randy Orton admits, he's like, hey, I don't mind being home. I like being home. But this is my second home. And I miss being here. And because of what the Bloodline did, Randy Orton believes he has the first shot. LA Knight makes a point to both Randy Orton and AJ Styles and says, hey, you were laid out by the Bloodline. You were laid out by the Bloodline. I was not. So I deserve next in line. So Nick Aldis comes out there and he proposes an idea. In 2 weeks at New Year's Revolution SmackDown, and we'll explain what that's all about in a few minutes, those three guys will face each other. And the winner of that match will face Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. So that's what we have leading into later on. Now, I got a box here. Quest. It's empty. Got to be careful with the shipping label. Can't give away my address. Why do I have this box here? Man, I don't mind comedy and wrestling, but, you know, Io Sky sometimes, it gets really, really goofy. And we had it again yesterday. We had this 8-woman brawl, holiday fight between Zelina Vega, Michin, Bianca Belair, and Shotzi. And they took on Damage Control. And, you know, listen, it was a fun brawl. We had Singapore Kings, we had tables, we had presents. The presents will come into play a little bit. And, you know, surprising finish to the match, which leads to, obviously, you know, something into the first week in January. This match got no reaction from the fans. This is the very beginning of SmackDown and is white noise. And I'm trying to get into it. And then we get this. There's a table set up in the corner. And Bianca Belair sees Io Sky, and she's got a box. And she takes the box, and she smashes it over Io Sky's head. And I kid you not, guys, this is legitimately what Io Sky did. Am I making this up? This is literally what happened. Now, this could be an epic fail because my head is actually bigger than this. But Bianca Belair, see, it stretches. Bianca Belair literally did this, and this is what Io Sky did. Am I lying? I mean, I turned away because I looked for a video clip of something online. She still got the goddamn box over her head when Shotzi jumps over the top rope. Every time I see that, for my friends that love the movie The Naked Gun, every time I see that dumb spot, I think of this.
Let go of that fellow.
It's like Naked Gun territory. The empty box. And it's just like, I expect this. I don't even think you would see that on Rampage. It just took, it was just dumb. And then here's another thing. We see two big boxes at ringside, and Asuka's opened one of them up, and she's wondering what's inside. And one box has Isla Dawn. Yes, she's very well endowed. And the other one is Alba Fire. And I'm sorry, guys. I don't like this reaction from Kairi Sane. Look at her. Look at her. She's like this. Why would you be scared of these two women? So what happens? Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, who I guess are supposed to be baby faces right now, they lay out Kairi Sane and Asuka. Now, do you get the diversion? Do you get the diversion? Why is Alba Fire and Isla Dawn feuding with Kairi Sane and Asuka, the Kabuki Warriors? Can anybody figure that out? Why is this happening now, random as it is? Because of this. We cannot have the internet wrestling community say the Kabuki Warriors are the next WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. They're busy with Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. They're busy with them right now. Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, I guess, are supposed to be baby faces. They attack the heels. All I know is that I was, busy looking at the outfits. It was what it was. But in the end of the match, Michin jumps off the top rope. Io Sky is laid out on a table, and she pins Io Sky. So now, in 2 weeks, Michin gets a title shot against Io Sky. We all love Mia Yim. But this feels like they're starting to have the problem with Io Sky that they are doing with Rhea Ripley on Raw. Rhea Ripley, her title reign seems to be digressing. And now Io Sky's reign seems to be digressing. Instead of upgrading to stronger, bigger challenges. I don't want to compare it to Hulk Hogan. But if Hulk Hogan, faced Andre the Giant and King Kong Bunny, and then, as Hulk Hogan's legendary run goes, he starts fighting Steve Lombardi and Charlie Fulton and Jose Luis Rivera. You're supposed to, get bigger. Bigger, better. And it's regressing. Michin, because she pins Io Sky in this match, she gets a title shot in 2 weeks. I don't mind it. It gives Michin a chance. This probably will be her biggest match since she's been back. Let her show everyone that she earned it, belongs. Zelina Vega is a good example of that. Zelina Vega is an example that she was given an opportunity and she ran with it. Zelina Vega, no one talks about how small she is anymore. No one talks about, she's not really that good and it's not believable. I was one of the critiques way back when. Zelina Vega has earned her stay, and she is very, very beloved by the wrestling fans. Not just because of her personality, not just because, she has definitely earned her keep out there. And now it's Mia Yim's time. I can't criticize that. But, you could see that this is milking weeks leading into the Royal Rumble. On both brands. So, other quick match results yesterday. Dragon Lee beats Butch. Little handshake afterwards. And Kathy Kelly later on, she interviews Butch in the back, and it's the same rinse and repeat for 3 weeks in a row. Butch, you lost your match. What are you going to do next? I'm going to Disney World. I'm waiting for Butch to snap, to look at Kathy Kelly and say, what the fuck do you mean what I do next? I fucking lost again. 3 weeks in a row. Butch, you didn't get the outcome you deserve, you were looking for. What's next for Butch? Leave me alone. 3 weeks in a row. I fought. At least I fought. I gave it my shot. At least I fought. Listen, I'm a big fan. I mean, who else goes and gets autographed photos of Butch? Is it nearby? Is it nearby? Oh, no. I thought it was Butch. I don't think anybody will complain. It's Gigi Dolan and her arsh. So Butch is in the back later on. I lost the match, but I fought. And then Pretty Deadly could sing, man. Pretty Deadly making fun of Butch. They get into a brawl. Somehow there's 95 security guards all standing on the sidelines. They break it up. And in 2 weeks, Butch and a mystery opponent, Sheamus, will be taking on Pretty Deadly. So that's another match we have to look forward to. Another match yesterday, Kevin Owens beats Carmelo Hayes, advancing to the finals of this tournament to determine a new number one contender for Logan Paul's championship. We said at the beginning of the tournament, when everybody else was saying that, Kevin Owens is out with a broken hand, who's going to replace him? He said that's the storyline. Kevin Owens will advance, will go to the finals. Kevin Owens will face Logan Paul at the Royal Rumble. And you remember the scenario we talked about, battle of the punches. Logan Paul will likely come out on top. The other person in this tournament that is advancing is Santos Escobar. I showed you earlier. Santos, great match with Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley, feeling it towards the end of the match. And then here comes two masked Latinos. They are at ringside and they're attacking the Street Profits. Bobby Lashley takes his eye off the ball. Santos Escobar gives him the win. And after the match is over, they are revealed to be Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Hated this. I just, what do you do with the Street Profits right now? I mean, they're trying to repair them, obviously. They're trying to repair them. But, yeah, they really screwed up the Street Profits. I mean, they're definitely repairable, obviously. And you know what? Couple of important wins people will forget quickly. So, main event match, AJ Styles taking on Solo Sikoa. The man, a couple of months earlier, who tried to take him out. Excellent match. Unfortunately, it ended in a disqualification. Roman Reigns hits the ring, and Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, they all get involved. Roman Reigns starts attacking AJ Styles, and sure enough, here comes Randy Orton to make the save. LA Knight gets involved as well. And next thing, and I tell you, one thing that LA Knight does great, if you look at this screenshot, not only could he throw great punches with his right hand, he could throw it with his left hand. Like, there's not many people that could do it with both hands like that. You remember Dusty with his punches, and even Bubba Ray with his punches. There's a few people that could do like really, really good. Even Steve Austin with his punches. The Rock, sometimes it just looked like bitch slaps. Because the Rock, I mean, if we all remember when the Rock, why is this showing on my screen? Oh, that's why. When the Rock, he would just slap, and then he looks at his hand and then slaps again. But LA Knight throwing the lefts and the rights, taking out Solo, taking out Roman Reigns. But then we got goofiness at the end. We got a little goofiness. Yes, these three individuals will be facing each other in 2 weeks to determine the number one contender for Roman Reigns' championship. Randy Orton is not extremely thrilled about this because Randy came back, and remember, here's a storyline. Here's a story that people did not think about yesterday. And trust me, I checked social media. Nobody brought it up. When Randy Orton, here's a little storyline. And I'm sure, maybe not next week, but in 2 weeks, it'll be reminded. Here's a little storyline that no one picked up on yesterday. When Randy Orton was going to sign with SmackDown or Raw, he was on SmackDown a couple of weeks ago. Adam Pearce shows up with the Raw contract. Nick Aldis shows up with the SmackDown contract. Nick Aldis says, come to Raw, and I'll give you this. You'll get the winner of Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins. Oh, no, Jey Uso and Seth Rollins, I think it was at the time. What did Nick Aldis say? I could give you what you want. I could give you Roman Reigns. So in storyline, Randy Orton should be pissed the fuck off. Like, why am I not getting the shot? This is why I signed with SmackDown. So that look on Randy Orton's face yesterday when Nick Aldis announced the match, remember that look, because that's the look of someone like, hey, you told me I get Roman Reigns if I sign with SmackDown. But we're not that deep into the story yet. But here's where it got kind of dopey. AJ Styles gets physical with LA Knight. And LA Knight drops AJ Styles. Now, I ask you this, for those that are on my video right now, why would Randy Orton break this up? Hey, LA, what are you doing? You shouldn't be hitting him. Like, look at this screenshot. I'm saying, no, let them fight. Like, why are you trying to play peacemaker? So he tries to break it up. LA Knight shoves Randy Orton. And because we're having a three-way in 2 weeks, they're all beating on each other. Roman Reigns is on the rampway with the bloodline. And they're kind of like, No, let's not get involved. Let's just eat some popcorn, enjoy what we're watching. They're beating each other up. One thing that I probably enjoyed, non-wrestling wise, I enjoyed the most yesterday was the interaction between Nick Aldis and Roman Reigns. Remember this. Roman Reigns will cry in the future. Remember the C word. Remember we brought it up here. Roman Reigns will cry conspiracy because Nick Aldis is not backing down to Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns demanded Nick Aldis go into his dressing room yesterday, and they're having a little bit of a conversation. Roman Reigns is acting like he doesn't know who Nick Aldis is. But then as they're talking, Nick Aldis burns Roman Reigns with a line that Solo Sikoa did to John Cena what you couldn't do. Like really burning Roman Reigns with that. And the storyline yesterday is that Nick Aldis is not intimidated by Roman Reigns. Now, why does this cry conspiracy? Because Cody Rhodes, when he ultimately gets his opportunity to face Roman Reigns once again, so it'll involve a little bit of controversy with Nick Aldis. Remember, Nick Aldis, Cody Rhodes, seen together multiple times at SmackDown, and Cody's not supposed to be there. So Cody will get involved in some ways where he's not a SmackDown guy, and Roman Reigns will cry conspiracy. And that will lead into WrestleMania. But remember, people are still betting the farm that CM Punk is going to win that Royal Rumble to face Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. I still think Drew McIntyre may be your World Heavyweight Champion on January 1st. And you know what's the greatest thing about it if it happens? Yes, happy for Drew. Yes, it repairs a little bit of the damage to Drew McIntyre over the last year and a half. But you know what's the sweetest thing about that if Drew wins the World Heavyweight Championship? You have people out there that were so certain that CM Punk would fight Seth for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. Now, because especially after Drew's passionate promo on Raw, when he talked about deceased relatives, family members that are no longer there, is it worth it? Was it worth it? That's deep shit. So now all these people that bet the farm that CM Punk was fighting Seth for the World Heavyweight title at Mania, like, oh, fuck. So instead of just accepting it and going with it, now they have to give you 500 million reasons why Drew McIntyre winning the championship is a mistake, or Seth losing it before Mania is a mistake. They're not saying that because it is a mistake. They're saying it because they fucking bet the farm that Rollins and Punk was going to be for the World Heavyweight title at Mania. And that could very well still happen. But if it doesn't, understand, people trying to tell you otherwise is not because storyline it doesn't make sense. It's because they be wrong. Big difference, guys. So now, SmackDown, Raw, NXT, first week in January, we got some specials. They're calling it the New Year's Knockout Week. Starting with January 1, 2024, WWE's Raw will be day one. We have some matches announced already. We will have Nia Jax versus Becky Lynch. Seth Rollins possibly losing the World Heavyweight Championship against Drew McIntyre. That title rematch will be going down. Rhea Ripley will be defending the Women's World Championship against Ivy Nile. And, Natty and Tegan Nox get another match to put them in line for the tag titles where they just lost one 2 weeks ago. They're taking on, I almost said Sonya Deville. Why do I keep doing that with Shayna Baszler? Because they both begin with S. Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark, who I like to call Butch and Butch. And I say that with love to Shayna Baszler. I am a big Shayna Baszler fan. On Tuesday, for New Year's Evil, that is a special NXT-themed episode, and we do have some NXT news that broke today. Warning everyone, goofy Japanese video coming. Goofy Japanese video coming. New Year's Evil, only 2 matches announced so far. Lyra Vicaria will be defending the NXT Women's Championship against Blair Davenport. Can't wait for Blair Davenport to make it to the main roster. She is on her way. She's almost there. Almost there. And then you're also going to have Ilya Dragunov defending the heavyweight championship against Trick Williams. And we saw what happened with Ridge Holland on NXT. Nuclear heat. Nuclear. Death threats before, forget it. Forget it. It is incredible the amount of heat this guy's getting. But, something I said last week, I got a couple of emails that were very, very interesting. DT, you're not as far off as you think. That WWE went with this storyline with Big E's blessing. And the fact that they're rehashing Ridge Holland as being reckless. Reckless. There's a difference here, guys. Ridge Holland did not intentionally try to injure Ilya. There's a difference here. If you watched the match, it was an accident. That's the difference. They're coming off that Ridge is reckless. In fact, somebody should start making signs. Ridge is reckless. But this may lead to Big E's in-ring return in 2024. Because how do you remove, you do not want Ridge Holland's career to be marred with, people just convinced that this guy is reckless, whether storyline, a mixture, a combination of reality and storyline. That's not fair to Ridge. So the fact that they're doing this, there's something bigger going on. We just have to wait and see if that happens. So, going back to the week, the bump, 1 o'clock Wednesday, January 3rd. They should have done it 8 o'clock at night. But on Peacock, I think people know why I say that. Wait till we get into the ratings for this week. Best of the Bump 2023 will be going down. On Thursday, you will have a best of WWE for 2023 and a preview of 2024. That is Thursday, the 4th of January. And then the 5th of January, which is SmackDown, we will have New Year's Revolution. And 3 matches already announced. LA Knight versus Randy Orton versus AJ Styles. Winner faces Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble. RR at the RR. That's how I labeled it on my notes. Winner faces RR at RR. So RR. So that match will be going down. We will also have the finals to determine the number 1 contender for Logan Paul's championship. Kevin Owens versus Santos Escobar. And then we will also have Io Sky defending the WWE Women's Championship against Micha Mia Yim. Can we have a picture of Mia Yim smiling once in a while? I mean, every fucking banner, she's angry. She looks like she's on the rag. She's always just like unhappy. But yet yesterday with AJ Styles, I only have a chicken. Pretend this is AJ Styles, and I'm Mia Yim. Hurry up and cut your promo. I'm hugging you a little bit too long. Keith Lee is at home like, motherfucker! Did you see that yesterday? She just kept hugging him. And hey, Gabagool. All right, this is better. All right, look, I'm Mia Yim, and this is AJ Styles. She's like this. She's got a head like a puppy. That went on a little too long yesterday. AJ Styles teasing some dissension with Gallows and Anderson. Are we good? I don't know. Are we? All right. What do we have to get into still? Drop something. Sorry. I'm looking at my... Oh, yes. Japanese video warning. Earlier today, we had some interesting video surface online, and it has to do with All Japan Pro Wrestling and the WWE. Now, before I show you the video, I want to give everyone a little bit of a refresher because unless somebody reports it, no one will cut and paste it. WWE and All Japan were going to do some work in 2020. Unfortunately, COVID was full-blown and things went awry. So now a couple of years later, they're in a kiddie pool right now. They're just dipping their toe in. This is not full-blown working relationship. All Japan has an event coming up, and somebody from WWE will be involved on that card. It's somebody from NXT. I heard it could be either Charlie Dempsey or Drew Gulak, which would be pretty cool. I wonder if William Regal would to make the trip as well if Charlie Dempsey's in the match. But let me show you how all this buzz online between All Japan and the WWE came out today. It's because of this video. And my apologies for the next 2 minutes for everybody on audio only. There is subtitles. I will just tell you, I'll give you the premise of it. You have the president of All Japan Pro Wrestling, and he is hanging out, and he's got a bunch of Japanese girls wearing Santa Claus outfits, and they're giggling. Oh, no. Actually, he does speak a little English because Triple H, he no speak in Japan. So he actually does speak a little English because he's talking to Triple H on the phone. So I take that back because, again, Triple H, he no speak in Japan. So here's how this went down today. I get a little break for a second. Here you go. I mean, can I say one thing before I show you this video? When you look at this Matarazzi, and I say that lightheartedly, you're really going to make fun of Tony Khan. And I'm saying this as a compliment to Tony Khan. For everyone out there, and I make jokes sometimes as well, but for everyone out there that really, really goes balls hard on Tony Khan, look at this. Look at this. And then you tell me who you'd rather work for. Seriously.
できるよほら。
すごい。地下出しちゃいなよ。はい。社長、これが？
できるよ。ほら。
Oh, who did maybe?
英語で。Hello. Oh, WWE. It's Fukuda. Yes. Thank you for your call back. Yes, it's been a while. Well, we, AJPW, want a strong superstar from your brand. And
Yeah, read those cue cards.
Yes. Triple Crown match. Kento Miyahara or Katsuhiko Nakajima. Yes. Do you have good superstar for us?
Those girls are acting like they understand English.
Killer catch style? Great. Thank you. My pleasure. Appreciate your support this time. Please say thanks to your boss in WWE. Bye.
He's got a fucking flip phone.
寿司食べに行こう。寿司食べる？
じゃあお腹すいた。
私も。
特上。
じゃあもうみくちゃん出しちゃいなよ。
いいの？
何かな？
みくちゃん早く。
This is like the Japanese Wrestlicious.
わあ、大きい。すっごい大きい。
Oh, we could boil cat in pot. We could boil cat.
社長。
Oh, this is awful. In my neck of the woods, that's what some like prostitutes would do, like a 75-year-old Italian. That's just awful. I mean, God bless him for having fun like that, but I can't even describe it. He literally, for some reason, they have a whole bunch of pots, empty pots just laying around. He's bashing one over his head. The other one is big. Oh man, that's bad. But anyway, so you heard it. So we got a little bit of a working relationship for a short period of time. Don't read too much into it. Again, this is something, that was supposed to develop a little bit in 2020, and it's developing now. So, all right, let's get into ratings. and then we could jet out of here. So we have some interesting numbers this week, and I'm going to call it like I see it, especially with Dynamite. I want to remind everyone something I brought up last week because it comes into play again this week for a second week in a row. Last week, Dynamite did 845,000 viewers, but they had the Big Bang Theory lead-in, which was 1.1 million viewers. And now if you take away that Big Bang lead-in, the rating for last week's Dynamite would have been 812,000 viewers. 812,000 viewers. That was last week. Keep that thought when we talk about Dynamite for this week. So, SmackDown for December 15th did 2,240,000 viewers. That is down from the week prior, 2,384,000. Surprising, when Roman Reigns advertised for this night, the ratings were lower than the week before. Now, the high point for SmackDown was Randy Orton, Roman Reigns, and the Bloodlines opening segment, which did 2,406,000. The low point for SmackDown was the first half of Randy Orton versus Jimmy Uso, which scored 2,085,000. Now, the positive from that SmackDown was that the rating was consistent for most of the night. There were no massive drops. Only one quarter was under 2.1 million. And the first half of SmackDown scored higher than average, which 2.3 million viewers. The negative was that the Carmelo Hayes-Grayson Waller match dropped 160,000 viewers as the match went on. Michin and Zelina Vega versus the Kabuki Warriors lost 125,000 viewers as the match went on. And the first half of the main event was the lowest of the night. Now, those are a little deceiving because when you're at 2 million plus for the night, 100,000 viewers is 5%. So it's not as big of a drop as it sounds. But when we get into some other shows, my God, what happened with Jey Uso on Monday? Holy shit when we get into that. Rampage, the 15th of December, did 308,000 viewers, down from the week prior, 341. The high point was the opening match of the Von Erichs and Orange Cassidy versus Matt Menard, Angelo Parker, and Jake Hager. That did 361. The low point was Red Velvet versus Anna Jay. And once again, Commander. Remember, take a shot every time we say Commander this week. Seriously, take a shot. The low point was El Hijo del Viqueño, Commander, and Penta versus Action Andretti and Top Flight. 280,000 viewers. The positive was that the Von Erichs opening match scored slightly higher than recent openings of Rampage episodes. After the rating dropped to 303,000 during the Mark Briscoe, Sonjay Dutt, Jay Lethal, Jeff and Karen Jarrett segment, they maintained their viewers for the final 45 minutes. Rampage is only 1 hour. So they maintained their viewers for the final 45 minutes. The negative was that the main event spanned 2 quarters, and those 2 quarters were the lowest of the night. And the high flyers continue to command the basement. High flyers are no longer must-see TV in AEW unless you break a bone, land on your head, or jump off the top of a mountain. Hate to say it, but it's just facts. Collision. Last Saturday, December 16th, Bryan Danielson main eventing once again. How did he do? 457,000 viewers, slightly up from the week prior, is 455. The high point was the second half of Claudio Castagnoli versus Andrade and Abaddon versus Jasmine Allure. That led to the return of Thunder Rosa, and Sky Blue got involved a little bit as well. That did 488,000 viewers. The low point was Orange Cassidy versus Brian Keith. The angle backstage between the Kingdom and Commander to set up the match on Dynamite. Take a shot. And remember Roderick Strong versus Commander when we talk about Dynamite. Little hint. If you're thinking what I expect to be saying, you're probably thinking right. The positive is the women's matches maintain good numbers during the night. Mercedes Martinez and Diamante versus Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale scored 480, which almost tied the highest for the night. The negative, Commander, continues to command the basement. Orange Cassidy is starting to draw lower numbers, and we keep bringing up OC quite a bit. And Bryan Danielson versus Brody King scored only 457,000 viewers, which was only the average for the night. That was Collision. Raw, from this past Monday, did 1,562,000 viewers. That is up from the week prior's 1,466,000. The high point from Raw was the confrontation between Becky Lynch and Nia Jax and the beginning of Gunther versus The Miz. That did 1,715,000. The low point for Raw was the first half of the Judgment Day versus the Creed Brothers. That did only 1,308,000 viewers. The positive, and there's an amazing tidbit about Raw's rating that I'll share with you. Some people will care about it. The positive from Raw, last week, the week prior, only one quarter broke 1.6 million viewers. This week, the first 2 hours broke 1.6 million. Now, let me repeat that. The week earlier, only one quarter, 15 minutes, broke 1.6 million. This past Raw, 2 hours broke 1.6 million. Hour one averaged 1,639,000. Hour two averaged 1,628,000. Hour three, though, tanked. When Jey Uso made the save for Kofi Claus, and then they had the match between Jey Uso and Ludwig Kaiser, 250,000 viewers changed the channel, and almost none of them returned for the rest of the night. R-Truth versus JD McDonough lost 100,000 viewers as the match went on. And as I said, Jey Uso and Ludwig Kaiser lost 250,000 viewers as that match went on. And the main event only gained 50,000 viewers as that match went on. Now, here's a little tidbit you might find interesting for those that care about demos. Sure, all those rating elitists out there, I'm sure they didn't tell you this. Despite Raw having 250,000 viewers change the channel, 250,000 viewers changed the channel during Jey Uso and Ludwig Kaiser, the demo hardly moved. Raw opened with 1,693,000 viewers and ended with 1,362,000. The demo opened up at 662,000 viewers, and the demo ended with 618,000 viewers. So despite those big drops, that 18 to 49 that some people are obsessed with, that did not take the drop. So a pretty interesting stat that their demo maintained despite losing two spurts during the night. All right. We finish up. Oh, NXT. 641,000 viewers down from the week prior, 678. The high point from NXT was Dragon Lee versus Charlie Dempsey versus Joe Coffey, and the backstage segment with Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes that did 688,000 viewers. The low point was the match between Ilya Dragunov and Ridge Holland, 588,000 viewers. Despite that buzz for 7 days, the main event match only scored 588. The positive was that the 7-minute overrun with Ilya on a stretcher, that almost sounds like the elf on the shelf. Ilya on a stretcher. That 7-minute overrun with him on a stretcher, they jumped 90,000 viewers. So some additional people tuned in to see the stretcher segment. For the second week in a row, the rating was very consistent for the night. They started at 647. They ended at 677. So despite the overall lower numbers, they were consistent. Now, the negative is that the overall rating continues to be lower in recent months. Nothing broke 700,000 viewers, and only 2 quarters for the entire night of NXT broke 650. Okay. Dynamite. December 20th. 782,000 viewers, down from the week prior's 845. The high point was Roosh versus Swerve Strickland, which scored 965,000 viewers. The low point was Roderick Strong versus Commander, which did 700,000. 700. Now, the positive, despite the horrible rating, their rating was pretty steady once that Big Bang lead-in wore off. Take away the Big Bang Theory lead-in, they were pretty steady for the night. Now, here's the negative. Remember what I said at the very beginning of the ratings. If you took away last week's 1.1 million Big Bang Theory lead-in, that rating would have been 812,000 viewers for the night instead of, what did they score originally? 845. This week, if you take away the Big Bang Theory lead-in, their rating for the whole night would have been 759,000 viewers. That would have been Dynamite's rating for Wednesday if you take away the Big Bang Theory lead-in, 759. Nothing in hour 2 broke 750,000 viewers, and that was the lowest in recent memory for any regular episode of Dynamite. We're not talking Saturday night shows or special air times. We're talking about their regular scheduled time. Plus, as far as I know, there was no competition with sports as well. Jay White continues to be some of the lowest ratings of the shows. And as we keep saying, Commander and the High Flyers continue to command the cellar, the basement. Roosh versus Swerve Strickland, if you want to claim that opener was all wrestling fans, then you have to say they lost 160,000 viewers as that match went on. Do I believe wrestling fans changed the channel? No. One other thing I want to just tell you, Impact Wrestling in New Japan are ending 2023 in the utmost pathetic way. Impact Wrestling, for the last 3 weeks, their 18 to 49 demo is 0.00. When you can't even get 0.01, let that sink in. We're not talking about 80,000 fans. You know, because if you look at Impact from 2021 to 2023, 2 years ago, they probably had maybe 8 times that they scored under 100,000 viewers. Last year, I think it was 16 times. This year, it's 24 times. Almost half the year was under 100,000 viewers. But the thing is, 2 years ago, they did have episodes that scored 80,000. But the thing is, when you realize that you do have 80,000 people watching your show, and almost none of them are 18 to 49, what's your target audience? Is this why they're bringing back TNA? To try to capitalize on the 50 plus? Like, you know, and if you notice, no one does the research. You know, they claim that they do a lot of hard work, but no one does the research to try to dig a little bit deeper. Is it 50-year-olds? Is it 60-year-olds? You know, some people will say the average age. You know why they do that? Because when you look at Raw and you look at AEW, you do get, besides 18 to 49, you do get 16, you do get males, you get females, you get 50 plus. So all you got to do is a little bit of mathematics, and you could figure out what's the average viewership for people 50 and over. What's the average viewership for women? What's the average viewership? When it's there, you just add and subtract or multiply or divide, and you get those numbers. But when you actually got to work for it, you know, no one wants to pull it. New Japan Pro Wrestling is dead. They're dead in the water. You could bring in Jesus Christ and he could fight Lucifer. and I don't think it's going to pop anything. You know, when I saw how low the number was when Mercedes Moné was on, and again, I get it. It was a replay, you know, but not many people ordered it on pay-per-view. And the fact that people could have watched the match for free, even if you're just a Mercedes Moné fan, and that match was so fun that you wanted to watch it again, the fact that that didn't budge the number, nothing budges the number. So that's why I'm a little curious to see what the TNA announcement is. You know, I'll leave you with this. And we'll be back Monday night for Christmas. So I thank you all. And you know what? Before I finish with who I would want the TNA announcement to be, because they're touting one of the biggest signings ever, I'll tell you who I would like it to be in a moment. Before I do that, I want to just give 2 super shout outs that came in earlier. That's a small shout out. No. Sal, thank you for the 5 spot, Sal. My thumbnail had him thinking, is Miro injured again? What's my overall thoughts on Ric Flair and AEW so far? Miro is not injured as far as I know. He's just not been used. As far as Ric Flair, you know, I say it like this. Tony Khan said early on, the reason why he brought in Ric Flair was for Sting. If that were the case, then why is it a multi-year deal? I personally think that it was for, let me put it this way. If Ric Flair did not have this energy drink, I don't think they would have brought Sting in. I personally think Tony Khan wants this energy drink because WWE has Logan Paul. And whether it's Prime energy drink or C4, you know, I think Tony Khan, oh, they got an energy drink, I'm going to have an energy drink. That's how I know it sounds petty, but I honestly think, you know, let me put it this way. Do you honestly think Woo Energy is paying AEW big fucking money to plug an energy drink that no one, as far as I know, has tried? You would have thought that some YouTuber would have bought it simply to be the first and say, ooh, look, mushrooms, and drink it. I won't even order it to drink it, to try it out. And it might even be good. When I think of Ric Flair investments, Ric Flair cars, Ric Flair this, Ric Flair real estate, Ric Flair has been involved in so many ventures over the years, and they've all failed. So where do you think this money's coming from? If there was that money coming in, it would go to Ric Flair. It would not go to AEW. So they're not paying any kind of money. This is just a little bit of money, but they are featuring Woo Energy that it should be in IVs, should be in all our bloodstreams. I don't know anybody that orders Woo Energy. That shit's I don't even think it's going to be around for a few years. Seriously, I think after a while, they're going to be props on eBay. You know, buy this inflatable Woo Energy. Woo! You know, now somebody told me, did I hear about the Woo Wings? I haven't even looked into that shit yet. You know, I mean, we had Ric Flair scratch-off tickets, and if I remember correctly, wasn't there a controversy? Like somebody won the grand prize like in the first week, and then people are like, oh, there's no reason for me to buy the scratch-offs anymore. I go for the gold or I go for nothing. I think it's just Ric Flair was brought in because Sting happened to be retired, and then he realized, oh, we could have an energy drink. I honestly think that that's what it is. If WWE has something similar, we got to have something similar. They got Kentucky Fried Chicken. We have to have our own food sponsor. You know, it's, if it helps, fine. But honestly, I could care less that Ric Flair's in that company. You know, if Ric Flair was truly there for Sting, then once Sting retires, you could plug Woo Energy, but we don't need to see Ric Flair on TV anymore. You're plugging the drink. You're not plugging him. He's not, you know, there's a big difference here. So, does he own Woo Energy? No. That's like saying, let's plug Car Shield, and every week, you know, Car Shield, woo! You know, like, Ric Flair doesn't own Car Shield. Yeah, Ric Flair's the spokesman for the energy drink. His catchphrase is on it, but, you know, it's the company buying advertising. Take note that WWE has not bought any advertising for Woo Energy either. By the way, on Monday, we'll talk about the Iron Claw. I have not seen it yet. I might actually watch a bootleg of it tomorrow. Depends, because it's Christmas Eve, going to be spending with family. If I'm extremely bored, maybe I'll watch it tomorrow. I'm going to see it next week. But I know some of you have seen it. I did check out some of your reviews. I know Guardian of Chaos wrote a really good review about it. If you all want to go check it out. I think people are starting to realize now that The Iron Claw is not a documentary on the Von Erichs, that it's sensationalized and exaggerated and it's tweaked and twisted for movie purposes. That's what it always was supposed to be. Hardcore wrestling journalists, fans, historians, if they thought that this was just a biopic, they were going to be disappointed. And I will say this, thank God I don't see people saying, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. That certainly didn't happen. We don't know what Kerry thought when he did what he did. We don't know about this. What is up with this? Thank God nobody is doing that. That's one thing I'm very happy about. So, all right. And so Fly, would love to get my thoughts on WWE and All Japan working together since they're sending NXT talent. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you, my friend. He sent this before we talked about All Japan earlier. My honest take on it is, having some NXT talent get a little, rub doing a little Japan, getting an extra match or two out of it, absolutely all for it. We could end up seeing somebody from All Japan appear in NXT. They're not going to be household names. A few people on the IWC might be online like, Ulakara is in NXT. Like, some people will be like amazed and blown away by it, but for the casual wrestling fan, they'll just go, who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you? But if they perform well, they'll get over. So right now I say, Shinsuke fought Muda. For Muda's retirement. We didn't see anything come about. You know what I mean? So right now we got an NXT star working a match in All Japan. That's nice. Let's go from there. It's not major news. I originally had it in a little bit higher profile for today's show. And then I thought about it. I'm like, it's one NXT star going for one match in All Japan. Let's wait a little bit and let's see where it comes from here. So, and I will say this, let me put it this way. If there is a legitimate working relationship between All Japan and WWE, it will be a press release. WWE, brought to you by a part of TKO Group Holdings, announces our working partnership with All Japan Pro Wrestling. You would not get this. You would not get that. We have not gotten a press release. When I see a press release, then I will discuss it a little bit further. But for now, we got... Why do I get like X-rated video vibes? Like if you just picture them all without clothes and just bang... What, is there any like meaning about banging a pot over somebody's head? All right. Who do I want to see be signed with TNA? That's a free agent. That is a free agent. It's not a wrestler. Mauro Ranallo. I think Mauro Ranallo would make two Zach Gowans missing both their legs be fascinating to watch. He just makes everything fun, exciting. I wish I could still use my old Wednesday Night Dynamite intro with the little Mauro Ranallo sound clips. Mauro Ranallo, I sometimes used to find myself watching matches that would suck, but for some reason Mauro Ranallo just made them feel a little bit better. I would honestly say if TNA inked Mauro Ranallo to be a commentator, I would consider that a big deal. I really would consider it a big deal. I would love for it to be Mauro Ranallo. Do I think it'll be Marinello? No, it'll probably be a wrestler. But, I look at the releases. There's a few that I'd be happy with. But as far as one of the biggest signings in the history of TNA, that's a little stretching it. Marinello, though, it's different. Marinello is different. I think they need someone to be the face of the new TNA. You go back in the day, you got Don West, and you think of Don West, and he didn't have a wrestling background, and then you have Mike Tenay, who did, but now they're iconic. And, you watch old school TNA, it doesn't sound right if Mike Tenay and Don West are not calling it. Nothing against the current commentators in Impact Wrestling, but I think you need that iconic voice that 5-10 years from now for the product of today. I think you need that iconic voice. And I don't think bringing back Mike Tenay is the answer. You want to bring him back in a limited role? Absolutely. But I actually would be happy with Mauro Ranallo. So I try to think a little outside the box. So, all right, my friends, we're almost at 2 hours. I'm surprised we got everything done under 2 hours. I actually thought that we were going to go a little bit longer. For everyone that's going to watch Collision tonight, you got a pretty loaded card. I mean, you got 3 Continental Classic matches, Eddie Kingston and Andrade, Bryan Danielson and Claudio, which will be fun, Daniel Garcia and Brody King. And then you got the trios titles on the line against Top Flight and Action Andretti. I mean, yeah, the Acclaimed are still trios champions, guys. Keith Lee taking on Brian Cage, Julie Hart and Sky Blue versus Abaddon and Thunder Rosa. I think if you are not doing nothing tonight, tune in to see Thunder Rosa's return. I want to see her return. Looks like a nice card, but Monday's preview, yeah, I listen, it's a best of Raw. I was going to spend an hour making a thumbnail and take highlights of Raw 2023, but I was like, you know what? Let's just throw Vince up there. So Santa Vince. That'll be the post show Monday night. Obviously, Monday will not be that much for the Raw post show because it's going to be a highlights of 2023. But we'll definitely get into the news. We'll get into some discussion. We'll also get into those NXT awards. Let's see what they threw out there. And we have a few other things to get into that we didn't cover tonight. But if you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. And again, next week, Tuesday or Wednesday, I will have an announcement. I will almost get, the more I think about it, I will record a video and post the announcement on YouTube for all my video friends out there. I will also post it on Patreon. It'll be posted on Twitter, and I'll post it in the community section of YouTube so everybody knows what is going on. If everything goes the way I think it is leading, make sure you check out the announcement before January 1, because everything will start kicking in as of the 1st. So there's going to be some changes definitely coming. But I honestly think overall, I don't think anybody will complain. I think people will be really, really happy with what's going to be announced, and we'll see where it goes. But, I want to thank you all for joining me. Have a Merry Christmas to everybody who celebrates it. Enjoy yourself. I'm going to be spending it with family. And, for those out there who have family members above, trust me, they want to see you smile. People will be sorely missed. I have family members and friends that I miss, especially around the Christmas and New Year's holidays, but they are looking down and they want you to be happy. So make the best of it. And hope you can join me Monday night, right after Raw. And, we'll go from there. But have a good holiday, everybody. Much love. And don't forget, no show tomorrow, Christmas Eve, but New Year's Eve, I will be doing a special sit down. As of right now, I think 10 p.m. will be the start time of the show. I got to think about that. We don't want to start too late, but 10 p.m. Eastern will probably be the time that it starts. So in case you all want to hang out, but be well, everybody. Much love. Talk to you soon.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's alright. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.
できるよほら